Welcome to the 12 o'clock show with Mayor Joe and everybody's favorite service director during road construction season, William Dorman. Welcome.
Thank you.
I say you're going to be able to give us a really good update once because you were actually on Wagner Road earlier. But first, so everybody knows, service director, what exactly do you oversee? What departments do you oversee and control?
So I kind of always tell people it's kind of everything that makes the city move, right? So if we weren't here, roads wouldn't get plowed, streetlights probably wouldn't work, traffic signals wouldn't work. So within the public service department, the main core of the public service department, we have the water department and the sanitary sewer department. And then we also have the street department and the stormwater department. The street department also takes care of street signs, curbs, street lighting, and traffic signals as well. And then we go a little further beyond that. We have the GIS administrator who does all of our mapping work, which we're really trying to move forward with as a city, and also the building department downstairs, which is comprised of code enforcement officers and a supervisor, 2 permit techs, and also 1 permit lead, and then also the chief building official, and then our inspectors, our building inspectors. So when anyone comes in and submits a plan, the process goes through the building department for plan review, and then we also then go out and do the final inspections and inspect the project through the construction process.
So a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything.
So a lot of questions that we get kind of relate more to your department as opposed to anything else. So the first one is when you look at some of the larger projects, not your small, like I'm just going to mill and pave, one street, but the larger projects, what are some of the things that typically come up that cause delays?
Yeah, the biggest one that comes up, and really it depends on the areas. For instance, if you look at the eastern part of Reynoldsburg, which is fairly new, there's not a lot of utilities, and basically they put the utilities into the same utilities. But when you start to head to the west, where it's older, we've had utilities come in and replace and install new. The problem is when they replace the utilities, they don't get rid of the old. So when we start digging in the ground, a lot of times we'll run into unexpected utilities that are in the ground, and they will pose a conflict with maybe where we were planning to put a water line. So we have to first verify that it's not an active service or utility. If it is, then we either have to ask them to relocate, which can take a considerable amount of time, or we'll move our utilities, which takes some time as well when it comes to redesign.
So a lot of the big utilities are AEP, Columbia Gas, then it's like every fiber / cable / whatever network that's out there. Those are usually the biggest ones that kind of get in the way of everything.
Yeah, the gas company, and once again, these utility companies, like the city, are also looking to upgrade facilities. So typically when we're doing a road project, Columbia Gas will come in and just, because of their aging infrastructure, want to redo their main lines as well, which is great, but it always adds time to the project. AEP is not so bad typically because most of their stuff's aerial, and so are the telecoms, but there are a plethora of different telecoms that are out there nowadays compared to back when it was just your Ohio Bell telephone company. So.
Now, one common question that comes up, it's more like a definition. What does the term right-of-way mean? And I know it's kind of different depending on where you're at, but what does the term generally mean, right-of-way?
So right-of-way is really what's city-owned property. So when you buy a house, it's always good to look at the Franklin County records and showing kind of the plat that was recorded, which basically gives your leaps and bounds, gives you your exact definition of your property. So although most property owners should maintain all the way to the curb, most of that, well, not most of that, but that area basically from the curb to the sidewalk is actually what we call right-of-way. City owns that property. We own that for the specific reason of in the future we may need to go and either widen the roadway or add new utilities through there. It gives us the ability to do that without constantly going and asking people for more and more property. Obviously, once that right-of-way gets utilized to its fullest, then, like for instance on Wagner Road, we do sometimes have to approach property owners for additional pieces to install some things.
So you mentioned it. We'll skip right to it. You mentioned Wagner Road.
I did.
Paving, the 2 coats basically, now the road itself is even. So there's one more coat that has to go on before everything is done. So between now and the time that happens, what all is going on Wagner Road? And I'm not going to ask generally what the anticipation is because you don't know what's going to happen with weather. But the idea is how much longer will residents have to look at before that road is open up where they're not going to be inconvenienced by lane closures?
Yeah, we'd anticipate right now, hopefully June. Right now, a massive project with private utilities that had to be relocated first. We installed a brand new water line along the entire length of the project, a brand new storm sewer system because obviously it used to be just an open ditch. We have curb and gutter now. We have street lighting, leisure trail on the west side, sidewalk on the east. So if you're out there right now, that's what you'll see is the sidewalks being constructed. It's mostly built, at least to the end of phase 1. Now phase 2 will start here, later in the summer. Hopefully come 1st of May, they'll start the leisure path on the other side, it's an asphalt, 10-foot wide asphalt leisure path we'll start building. And you also start to see street lights going up. There are bases out there so you can see where they're going to be. And the underground conduits in, but they will basically just need to put the lights in, power up energize the lines, and then the street lights will be up. The other things to mention, probably the biggest things that people see that are new are going to be the traffic signal at Priestley and Wagner, as well as some mid-block crossings for St. Pius and also closer down toward Messiah. Given the amount of daycare and school time drop-off and pickups, we figured that would be a really nice option. Anytime we can encourage people to walk and maybe not get in their cars, it helps with congestion, obviously, and traffic. Also better for everyone to get their exercise. But hopefully those crossings, which will have the flashers that you can push, which will have the strobes, and there'll be a little island in the middle of the road as well to help people if they have troubles getting across the road. Say, for instance, if they have some kind of impairment, a walker or wheelchair, there's an island in the middle of the road that will allow them a safe respite to cross, continuing crossing during the next cycle.
Yeah, and speed limits being reduced to 35 all the way through once this project is done. So phase 1 should be, that 35 area, and then I know that phase 2 has a little bit difference of anything. And then I guess one question that always comes up that I know the answer to, and I've tried to explain, and I know you'll laugh at this, is why do we have so many projects going on all the time? And other than this, it's because I want a lot of stuff done. Yeah. Other than that, there are reasons why it takes a while to get things lined up.
There is. I mean, as we kind of alluded to earlier, it starts with the design. Once we get a design that we feel comfortable with, that satisfies, typically the biggest issue is safety, right? It's how can we provide a better vehicular passageway as well as pedestrian access. Once we get that on paper, then we look at it, kind of overlay it on properties, and we start, if we need to meet with property owners about acquiring additional pieces, and we do that. From that point, we have to go out and award the project. That takes several weeks per guidelines that we have to follow as a government agency. Award the contract, and then obviously it's that whole relocation of utilities, and then we start getting in there and work. Typically, most projects, even if you would start them off right in the beginning of the year, if it's a major roadway construction project, they always bleed into the following year, mainly for like restoration, grass seed, things like that. So even if you're done and the road's drivable and everything, there's always little items that come in, and we always go back a year later and make sure that all those items have held up. If they haven't, then there's what we call a 1-year warranty period where the contractors come back and remedy any items that did not meet that standard.
Now, I know a couple of other things on Wagner Road that we've talked about, because you sent some pictures earlier. The fencing around the cemetery is going up, and then a lot of grading is going to be going on to kind of even things out between various areas.
The next few weeks, we have seating windows here, so the next few weeks you'll see them putting topsoil in place in those areas between the curb and the sidewalk and behind the sidewalk. As you said, the cemetery is getting a nice fence and also a little parking lot down below, which we never had before. And then also a little somewhat parking lot for Pine Quarry Park will start to kind of establish something we've been wanting to do for a long time, and that's creating more of an entrance and a small little head-in parking area with maybe 4 to 5 spaces, I think is what it calls for.
Okay. Any questions have come in? All right. Well, that's unusual, but I think I'll take it.
I'll take it.
You're off the hook.
All right. So obviously, the big things coming up. We've got Wagner Road that's going to be worked on. Our street program for 2026. We're going to have a meeting next week to kind of finalize those details and get ready to get that out to bid.
It's on the website too for people to look at.
Yep, you can take a look at those. Had a resident ask about if their road was still on, and it is. It's still going to be there. Council's got to approve it, of course. So we're getting to that point. Parks and Service Building is moving along great.
Moving along.
Yeah, we'll have some pictures up later on, but we're looking probably moving staff in around 4th of July, give or take a couple weeks.
Yeah, maybe a little earlier, but hopefully, no later than probably mid-July, everybody moving in. Well, we'll transition at least the street department because obviously we have to tear down their old facility to move them into the new, but water and parks may kind of trickle in as time allows.
All right.
We did get a question.
There we go.
So it says, do either of you have any regrets at all about how the city's development and zoning has panned out for the Paragon project?
Oh, no, I don't have any regrets. I think a lot of it right now, unfortunately, is just economic things. This is the Trivium, the new site on where the former Happy Dragon used to be.
Gotcha.
I think more than anything right now, it's just a question of trying to find the right business that's in there. There is the photography studio that should be wrapping up. I think construction should be wrapping up this week. I don't think there's that much more left. I know the owner of the property is trying to find the best business in there, so we'll have to wait and see if they can get something in. Once that building kind of transitioned and went over to the new owner, that's not something that we don't get to pick and choose outside of wanting to not have a business that goes in that competes with Slab, Prost, and Vic. So it's like you're not going to get a pizza place in there because we already have Vic's right across the street, that type of thing.
Yeah, I think the building looks great, and yeah.
And there's plenty. The thing is, people will talk. I saw a thread earlier about what businesses do we want to see in the old part of Reynoldsburg, and a lot of the same businesses that we hear a lot of things. But the one thing that I was surprised at is the idea of parking. I don't know if everybody knows how much parking is actually right there. Between the parking on that particular location plus Memorial Plaza right next to it, there is plenty of parking for all of that. Even if you use some of those storefronts, the new storefront with the candle shop that opened up. We had our grand opening. They've been open for a little while, but we had our grand opening this week. It's a great opportunity.
We just did a study, another thing on the GIS where we actually just mapped out all the parking areas along that area. I think all along Main Street for the most part, but something we may publish too. It was kind of a study we did internally, but list the private and versus public parking. But I was surprised to see how many little areas I didn't realize that were available. Yeah. So yeah.
All right. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
All right. Well, thank you. You're free to go.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Oh, wait, what about community cleanup?
Well, I was going to talk about it eventually, but yeah, community cleanup is
this weekend.
Saturday.
No hazardous waste this week, and it's an every other year thing. I know it's a great thing, and we get a ton of people that want to participate in that. But obviously, if you still have hazardous waste, you can go down to the Swaco drop zone, which is down towards the fairgrounds area. That's probably the best option. But yeah, we will be out here doing the normal bikes, flags, drugs, Habitat for Humanity, Volunteers of America, and just bulk waste and electronic.
And of course, everybody's favorite, shredding.
Shredding, yeah.
That's
no batteries included.
No batteries, hopefully this time. Please make
time.
sure you look through your paper that you're turning in so a battery doesn't get in there. As much as everybody kind of chuckles about the fact that a fire started in one of those trucks. Probably best to not let that happen this year.
Okay.
The gates will open. Please don't start parking and lining up on Main Street at 8:15. It's not going to open till later, so just kind of keep that in mind. All right, there you go. Now you're free.
All right, thank you.
Make sure you see Stephanie on the way out. All right, so a lot of other things going on in the city, kind of going with this idea of some other versions of things. We're working on our text system. So this is going to be an opt-in option that we presented to residents probably sometime after the Tomato Festival. But it can get you information on events, breaking news, other information like if there's a road closure or, by chance, if you're doing hydrant flushing. So you may have noticed over the last couple of days, we're doing some hydrant flushing. You can actually see which ones have been, in essence, flushed out on our webpage under the GIS section. You can actually, it'll show you which ones have been already addressed. Again, shouldn't have any other issues beyond that, but just to be aware of it, but to have that out there. There's also some things in there from emergencies. We're trying to work on I don't want to call them the canned comments, but the very generic comments that if there's a road closed here or something like that. I did submit some of my suggestions for this. For those of you that might have been fans of the good old movie Airplane, it's a twister, anti-M, NTM, that type of thing. That might be something that is in there. But apparently I was told that that's not exactly the look that they're going for, but we'll see. Code enforcement. Some really good information about code enforcement came up. Obviously, we've kind of highlighted code all the way throughout. And one thing that always comes up are cars. All right, so every single circumstance is going to be completely different. So not everything is going to be exactly the same all the way throughout. But the general rule of thumb is this. You got to have cars that are, 4 tires that are workable, so no flat tires. You have to be registered, so you have to have the license plate on the back of the car with an up-to-date registration, and they have to otherwise look as able to move. You're actually able to have the car actually move. So those are the general rules for cars. When it comes to RVs or commercial trucks and things like that, RVs are allowed on your property on the driveway as long as they are, again, meet all those other conditions about having the tires and license and things of that nature. But they should not be overhanging on the sidewalk and certainly not overhanging onto the street itself. So those are things that are there. Now, if that happens and you call, code enforcement will go out, and usually you're going to get 7 days to move whatever it is that's there. Most people take care of it much sooner than that. For those people that are frequent responders on this one, where they do this every day and they move their car once, or they move it a foot here, a foot there. While that does meet the legal definition of it, the fact that it's in that area, specifically those commercial trucks, can be actually flagged and ticketed at some point in time. Now, if they're the smaller ones, I know there's a couple in my neighborhood that are actually very, very small. One of them is like for a mobile dog wash, and there's another one for like, shakes and fruit flavored smoothies and things like that. Those are small enough. If they're on the driveways, they're fine. But those are some of the issues. Now, we had an incident where there was a car parked on Priestley and another car hit it and actually totaled it. That car had to stay there for a couple of days because insurance had to get out there. They had to take pictures, all of those different types of things. So that's kind of the oddball one that comes out, that it's not always going to be able to be there. But for the most part, most of those cars are supposed to be moved. You can flag them through your Reynoldsburg Engage Reynoldsburg app. You can call here at the city and we'll take a look at it and things of that nature. Now, the one other one is cars that are being worked on. I am not mechanical in that regard. My wife and I actually were talking about it. We saw an old Model T Ford that was actually driving around the neighborhood yesterday. And it would be one of those things. I would love to have something like that, but I would have no idea what to do with it. But if you're working on a car, either like that or otherwise, people are going to work on it. People who are more skilled than I am, they can change their oil, they can change their tire, all of those things perfectly fine. Love that you have that skill set. Wish I did, just don't have it. That being said, if you have a car and it's up on blocks and you're changing a tire, it's not supposed to be there for 24 to 48 hours, especially up on jacks, because then it becomes a safety issue. It's one of those things where some young child wanders away and gets involved, and then all of a sudden finds their way that they're trying to hide under a car. The jack gives way, bad things happen. That's why you have to have a somewhat of a limit on that one, so it's not overnight. If cars are going to be worked on for an extended amount of time like that, you can actually have a car cover to cover it, as long as, again, it meets some of the safety factors, so don't have it all up on blocks type of thing, as well as not parking in the grass. So those are some of the highlights from code enforcement this week, so kind of check those out all the way through. Any questions?
Yep, we did get one.
Yep.
Any plans for the former PNC Bank site?
Yep, it's actually, there was an article on the Columbus Dispatch. They have secured all of their funding. They're finishing their engineering, and we hope to close on the property sometime in maybe early to mid-June, with construction starting not there long after. So that one's on its way and it's moving in.
That's it.
All right. So Reynoldsburg Police Department, we've talked about this a couple of times, and apparently, and I know this may come as a shock to some of you, sometimes I ask staff to do certain things and they're not really sure if I'm being serious. Completely reasonable expectation. I understand that. So one of the things that I talked about is some communities in Central Ohio experience speeding. It actually isn't just Reynoldsburg. Bexley has a program and Dublin has a program. Dublin started their program called Slow Down Dublin. Bexley really stretched their imagination and came up with their version of it called Slow Down Bexley. I think we can have a better name than that. Haven't got any suggestions, but we are going to have something out on social media at some point to kind of have a name for our program. There's a lot of things that are there that we could come up with, but obviously speeding is an issue in all of our communities, stop signs, red lights, all of that stuff. But there are some options out there to do it, and most of the changes would be included in a website that would actually help you track where some of those speed incidents occur, in addition to using some of the data that we have from our speed indicators all the way located throughout the city. So if you have something that apparently has to be appropriate for all ages, that could be a comment for how we address a speed program, let us know. You'll probably see some things out there in the not too distant future on social media as well. Also wanted to remind everyone that it is National Work Zone Awareness Week. So a lot of the crews that are out there working hard, they have families to go home to. They don't want to be in a hospital. They don't want to get hit by cars that are frustrated with construction just as much as anyone else. So please keep that in mind as you're driving through any of the construction zones, not just in Reynoldsburg, but really throughout the entire, anytime you're on a road, which is basically almost all of Ohio with the orange barrels. So thank you to those construction workers that are out there dealing with everything. We did talk about Wagner Road and everything that's going on there. We did talk about the fire hydrants that are going to be cleared out over the next few weeks and things like that. So any questions while I'm kind of moving through? All right. Not nearly as much fun as when the dogs were here. I get it. I apologize. You have to listen to me instead of looking at the cute dogs. But we do have some parks programs. May 16th here at City Hall is going to be Plant Reynoldsburg. So that'll be on May 16th on a Saturday morning. It's a great opportunity for community members to come in. We kind of plant flowers all the way around City Hall. It's always a fun thing. I've been doing this for a long time, longer than I've been a mayor. And it's always fun because I know which areas that I kind of work on. And for those people that come on a regular basis, everybody has their own areas. Like some people go up to the front part of the, as you enter the city hall area, and they have those areas. Some are right by the stairs, which is where I go, things like that. So hopefully you can make it out and participate in that one. We do have a town hall next week. It is going to be here. We're going to open the doors up and get started probably at about 6:30. You don't have to be there at exactly 6:30, but you never know what you're going to miss if you don't get here right at that time. Probably sure we're going to be talking about road projects. We're also going to talk a little bit about property taxes and how Reynoldsburg City is funded versus how Reynoldsburg City schools are funded versus how Truro Township is funded. All three different government entities, all funded in completely different ways. So we're going to talk a little bit about that so everybody understands what it actually means there. Probably talk about the budget, and of course, anytime that there's some development things going on. We are close to making some cool things. We just have to wait for an official submission from a couple of things that I think a community is going to be really excited about. Just waiting patiently. I walk by the development department a couple times a day, and I'm like, is it here yet? Is it here yet? Still waiting. Should be coming very soon, but that'll be good news. Hopefully it'll be in time for next week. So if there's anything else that you want to talk about here, by all means, bring it up. We'll have some information. I'd like a little heads up just in case there's something that I have to do some research on or get some data or something along those lines, but pretty much anything's going to go on this one, so we'll have some conversations with that. We also have, to remind everybody, on Friday, May 8th, a career fair that's being hosted at the Reynoldsburg Library. It's from 9:30 to 12 p.m. on Friday, May 8th. Thank you to Ward 3 City Councilwoman Tanae Chambers on that one. She's pushing that together. But all sorts of opportunities for helping maybe find a new job or maybe getting some skill sets that help you in your current position or finding a new one. So those are all sorts of cool things going in there. And now we get to the fun kind of summer preview stuff. So pretty sure you saw the announcement yesterday, an incredibly well choreographed video about our Friday night act at the Tomato Festival. It is official. Drew Hill is going to be coming to the Tomato Festival. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I imagine that's going to be a big crowd. That's going to be a fun night on Friday night. So please keep that in mind. We'll do the reserved seating stuff probably sometime in June or July. Probably I think July is when we do it, after 4th of July. So keep that open and in mind for that one. But there's always something coming up. We'll be able to announce the other acts coming in the next few weeks. Just have a couple of contractual things that we have to wait until we get to a certain point before we can announce them. But again, really big acts. We're going to enjoy it. But Drew Hill's going to be a lot of fun. I've heard nothing but good things about their concerts. So we're really looking forward to coming here to the Tomato Festival. If you can't wait that long and you want some other music, we've got concerts on the lawn starting in June. We have June 7th with the Grateful Dead Revival. June 28th as the Reynoldsburg Community Band. So a little bit more of your traditional band music will be there on that one. In June, we also have on June 13th, we have a big, and this is a huge, I think this is a big thing. They actually opened up, I think did they open up for Morris Day and the Time, I think? This is what they did.
I think so, yeah.
Mojo Flow is going to be here, and they put on a heck of a show. So that'll be at Reynoldsburg Pride on June 13th. We also have the Silver Springs. It's a Fleetwood Mac cover band from the Food Truck Friday on June 26th. We have Attaboy on July 4th. I can't imagine why Attaboy would be nothing but amazing patriotic style music. No, actually, it's been like 1990s, 2000s kind of cover band music. Very uplifting pop type stuff, so that'll be good. Talked about it last week. The Food Truck Festival on July 17th. Big Bad Stash is going to be here from that one. We're going to talk about the music this week. We'll probably get an idea of what food trucks are at least scheduled to show up, and fingers crossed, hopefully they do, for the food truck festivals. In July, Concerts on the Lawn will come back. We've got Reelin' in the Years on July 12th and A Hard Day's Night, the Beatles tribute band on July 26th. Talked about Drew Hill. Also have on May 2nd, for friends of anyone or parents of children ages 0 to 5, we have the Postal Workers Union Hall Community Baby Shower right off Lancaster from 12 to 2. Come on out. There's plenty of things there, clothes, other sorts of resources for those with, again, children from ages 0 to 5. We were cleaning out my basement this weekend, and we went through, and I made the mistake of getting one box of my kids' old baby clothes. And so about 25 minutes later, after my wife and I were just like, nostalgic for the days when our kids were that young, we had to put them away because we're not giving those up apparently. So I'm told. But if you've got other things in there, take a look at that. Special shout out to Councilwoman Angela Abram. This is the 3rd or 4th year I think that program has been going on, so we're excited. She's bringing that over. Community Cleanup Day this weekend, April 25th, Saturday, rain or shine. The doors open, or the parkway opens at 9 o'clock. It does not open beforehand, and we can't open until 9 o'clock because we don't know when all of the vendors are going to get here. If everybody gets in and everybody's set up before 9 o'clock, we'll open it up. But usually the shred trucks are one of the last ones to arrive, and they're our biggest pull, so we cannot open the parking lot area for that. So if you're coming here to, walk in the park or other things, you may have to wait a little while for that. Any questions, comments, anything coming up?
Yep, we got a couple.
Cool.
The first one is, are there any plans for data centers coming to Reynoldsburg? And if so, will we be able to vote against them?
No, there are no plans for data centers to come to Reynoldsburg. There's a couple of reasons why. One, it is allowed by zoning because it has to encompass, you actually have to allow data centers in your zoning plan at some point in time. We can't restrict it completely or ban them specifically, much like we couldn't do if we wanted to ban adult entertainment. So there has to be an area for that. That being said, there's not a lot of room in Reynoldsburg for data centers, and from my point of view, I'm all about trying to find ways to bring more jobs into the city. So data centers don't actually provide jobs. Data centers typically, after construction, only have about maybe 10 to 15 employees at most. And given some of the development that's coming on right now, that's not it. It's not enough. So I'm not interested in data centers. The city's not supporting data centers at this point in time. And no developers actually even approached us with it because, again, they just don't have the space for data centers here. For that, you'll have to go to Etna Township, Pataskala, and further out. But there are no plans for data centers in Reynoldsburg. But if something were to come in, obviously residents would be able to come in and speak in opposition to it, as I would probably be joining you. Because, again, they're not there for Reynoldsburg. It's not what we're looking for.
Right, and then we have, can the city of Reynoldsburg implement a system or portal that monitors water usage and notifies residents when it becomes higher than usual?
Yes, it actually is in place depending on if you have the meter. So, and most residents at this point have the meter in there or have that ability to do so. And usually we have an indicator on a morning basis where, again, if your water level is pretty consistent, maybe a little up, a little down, it doesn't notify you. But if there's something where there is a dramatic jump or if there's an increase over a certain amount of time, we do get notified and we do reach out to residents almost within 24 hours of something like that, especially if it's a dramatic one. That being said, there's always circumstances where maybe your house or a specific house isn't on that particular thing, but that system is indeed set up. So.
And then the last one is, what is the big building that's being built near Broad and Taylor Road?
Yep, that is actually one of the, they're calling it a spec building. So they're building, in essence, a shell of a building until they identify the user. I think they know who's going to go in there. Not sure yet, they haven't told us. But they are going to, once they get that done, then they'll actually tailor to it. Obviously, the building is set where it'll have a little bit of logistics options, but we're looking for something that is job creating. Maybe it's going to be producing something there, or maybe it will be just straight logistics, but there's going to be something in there that will actually bring employees to work in that particular environment. But once we know of the official one in there, we'll definitely share that once we're told. That's it. All right. Love the questions. Thank you so much for bringing them. Always appreciate that. Our next fireside chat, can you believe it's already the last week of April next week? This year is going by so fast, but we're going to be kicking off, really, I guess almost kind of like in the middle of COSI Science Week. COSI is a great partner with the city of Reynoldsburg. We have a lot of events with our Parks and Rec department, including one on Friday night, but the Vice President of COSI, Stephen M. White, Esquire, will be here to join us. Incredibly engaging, great energy, wants to bring other opportunities for STEAM education, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and art in there as well, to bring that to our community and work with our schools and help with some of those cool things. So he's going to be here. Last year we had the Alka-Seltzer little rocket popper thing that came up and it made a big mess and shot up really loud. So I know he's got something really cool set up for next week on that one. So that's our guest next week. As always, stay safe, stay respectful. I want to thank Director Dorman for taking a little bit of time walking away from Wagner Road to come on the show and give us updates on all of our street programs and all of our projects. And with that, unless there's any last second questions.
We do have one.
See, I knew it.
Any update on the TGI Fridays building?
I want to tell you. Yes, there is an update. We do feel that there's going to be a submission coming in the very near future that will identify what that particular restaurant is. I cannot tell you until it comes in, because if I tell you what I know, then all of a sudden you're going to be like, okay, well, I thought you said that was going to be the restaurant if something weird happens, and it's not. Let's put it this way. I'm a picky eater. I'm really going to enjoy this particular restaurant, but nothing has officially been submitted, so there's nothing that I can say at this moment in time. but they have had some things reviewed. They hope to submit in the next couple of weeks. That's one of them. I'm waiting for it. Trust me, I want it here just as much as you do. So
That's it.
all right. Thank you, everybody. Again, stay safe, stay respectful. If you haven't had a chance, have anybody that you know that wants to participate in the pageant, they're still taking applications for everything. For the Tomato Festival to be the next Tomato King, Tomato Queen, or any of the participants at the junior level. Otherwise, enjoy. Get out and enjoy the sun sometime. Thanks, everybody.